With World War II on the horizon, Great Britain needed a safe place to produce their Hawker Hurricanes, a revolutionary monoplane created in 1935. As an ally, Canada was an ideal place for the production, as it was far away from Europe. With men joining the military forces, women were left to continue providing support for the war, as well as continuing to care for their families and daily duties. But one Canadian woman challenged the gender stereotypes.
The first Canadian woman to earn an electrical engineering degree. The first woman in North America to earn an aeronautical engineering degree. The first woman to officially design and produce a plane. The first woman to become chief aeronautical engineer in Canada who got paid for her work. And the first Canadian woman to develop an independent engineering consulting firm. Elizabeth Gregory MacGill was an inspiration to all. Coming from a non-engineering family and despite her physical disabilities, Elsie successfully entered and conquered the engineering field. A woman of many firsts who broke barriers in history. In 1938, after being hired as chief aeronautical engineer by Canadian Car and Foundry, CanCar, Elsie undertook many projects, such as the Maple Leaf Trainer II, which she redesigned to be a faster and more efficient plane. It became known as the first aircraft designed and produced by a woman.
With war on the horizon, CanCar was contracted by the Royal Air Force to produce Hawker Hurricanes in an effort to help the war. CanCar put Elsie in charge of overseeing the production of the Hurricanes. Elsie modified the Hurricanes, adding de-icing equipment and snow skis for the cold weather. In addition, Elsie made remarkable contributions to aeronautical engineering by introducing mass production techniques for the Hawker Hurricane.
According to numerous pilots, the Hawker Hurricane had many benefits. For example, they were easier to maneuver, they were fast for the era, they were safer than other models, they were manufactured faster, and if they were damaged, the pilots themselves could repair them in minutes. After the war ended, statistics show that 60% of the enemy kills were due to the hurricanes.
Numerous articles were written about Elsie, and in 1942, the true comic series dubbed her as Queen of the Hurricanes. It was rare to see a woman in a management position get paid what most men in management positions got paid. Compared to the monthly salary of $80 for a woman working at CanCar, Elsie was paid $350 a month working as a manager. This was one of the many ways Elsie broke barriers in history.
A current saying in the aviation world is that you don't have to be crazy to be in the aircraft business, but it helps. Obviously, it does help, but it's a specific craziness that is meant, a craziness that accomplishes prodigious things, a craziness that will win the war. Elsie MacGill. Elsie MacGill was born on March 27, 1905, in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Elsie's first interest in engineering began with an unexpected interest in electricity. Even though women were permitted to attend university in Canada, no woman had ever attempted to enter the electrical engineering field. Elsie was the first to be accepted and to graduate with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the University of Toronto.
Even after Elsie graduated, not many women enrolled into the engineering program. Only 4 women enrolled compared to 693 men who enrolled 2 years after she graduated. Slowly, the University of Toronto started to accept women into the program in the 1930s. Like her mother before her, Elsie was breaking new ground on an educational path unfamiliar to women.
After graduating, Elsie moved to the United States to work for an automobile company, Von Austin, in Pontiac, Michigan. She worked as a mechanical engineer, giving her experience for her later jobs, which include mechanics. In addition, it was scarce to be employed during the Great Depression, and even more difficult to be employed as a woman.
When Von Austin started to produce airplanes, Elsie became intrigued and started part-time studies at the University of Michigan, which soon became full-time studies as the University of Michigan gave her a full-time scholarship to continue her studies in aeronautical engineering.
Before graduating, Elsie became ill and was told she had contracted polio. Even though Elsie could not attend graduation, she received her diploma in the hospital. Elsie was told by the doctor she might not walk again. Elsie didn't let polio defeat her and slowly gained movement in her legs. While recovering, she continued to study and wrote articles on aeronautical engineering. Elsie soon recovered and gained movement of her 2 legs. She now had to walk with 2 metal canes to support her. However, this did not stop her from continuing to pursue her dreams.
Despite the fact that she was really disabled, she had a form of polio, and so she always walked on crutches. and she had a really difficult time getting around, but she'd get on these little airplanes and fly into northern villages and talk to the women. This is really quite amazing.
Elsie quickly realized that engineering was changing so rapidly. She decided to pursue a doctoral degree, applied and was accepted to MIT. She continued with her studies for about 2 more years, until Elsie decided to leave MIT for an opportunity that she could not turn down. She was hired as Chief Aeronautical Engineer at Canadian Car and Foundry, where she continued to pursue her dream, becoming an aeronautical engineer.
After the production of the Hawker Hurricanes, her career had ended at Cancar. Elsie and Bill Soulsby, the plant manager, married in 1943, then moved to Toronto, Canada. Elsie decided to change her career and became the first woman consultant in aeronautical advice. After the war, Elsie, along with others, had the idea to utilize warplanes for commercial use. She started to review designs for airline companies for safety use. Elsie became the first woman to serve as a technical advisor for the International Civil Aviation Organization, where she helped draft air safety regulations for the design and production of commercial aircraft, as well as becoming the first woman to serve as chairman of the United Nations Stress Analysis Committee.
I have received many engineering awards, but I hope I will also be remembered as an advocate for the rights of women and children. Elsie MacGill.
After her mother's death in 1947, Elsie wrote a biography about her mother called My Mother the Judge. This project served to unite Elsie's feminist activism, leading her to renew her previous participation in the Canadian Federation of Business and Professional Women's Club. Before long, she became provincial president and national president of the Canadian Federation of Business and Professional Women's Club. In both positions, she was a woman's role model in society and an advocate that Canada would improve as a whole with the proper consideration and use of woman power.
Elsie was appointed as a commissioner on the Royal Commission on the Status of Women in Canada, where she was acknowledged by her commission peers as the leading feminist amongst them.
And it's 50 years ago, this coming December, when they published their report. And the commission went all the way across Canada, talked to women about the changes they needed in so many little towns. And Elsie had been the president of the Business and Professional Women's Associations of Canada.
Although a feminist, Elsie refused to be labeled as a woman engineer. Her perspective was that she was just another engineer. The fact that she was a woman did not matter how well she performed the job. She was the same way as any other male engineer. She had proven the time and again that her sex in no way impacted her ability to do her job.
It was not until 1970, following the publication of a controversial article that proposed training women as engineering aides, that she fully realized the challenges women in engineering faced on account of their sex. The article caused an intense debate about women in engineering and prompted Elsie to reflect on her own career and acknowledge that she too had faced discrimination. She became a vocal critic of discrimination within the profession and a strong advocate for women in engineering.
And she realized that the real pay dirt, as it was, of the women's movement was to get the laws changed and then to get the regulations changed. So to improve for women wages and pensions and maternity leave benefits. And she really got on with it. She was very goal-directed.
Elsie MacGill made remarkable contributions to aeronautical engineering by introducing mass production techniques for the Hawker Hurricane, built during the Second World War, and later by developing international airworthiness regulations. Elsie MacGill paved the way for women to enter the engineering profession and fought to advance women's equality. I believe that the future of the human race depends to a great extent upon the expansion of scientific knowledge, and further that the use of technology that proceeds from that knowledge is our best hope of improving the lot of people around the world. Elsie MacGill.
Strong looking skyward through polio and pain. Canada's Elsie MacGill. She's baking up hurricanes. She's baking up hurricanes. Soon Goring's mighty squadrons were pummeling Britain's lyre, but for brave and daring pilots of Hurricane and Spitfire, we've got to knock those bombers down today from